I'm Dr. Harley Farmer, and this is the 8th video in my chapter sequence for my book, which is called What is Eczema? How to End the Misery Quickly. Now this chapter covers the 7 ologies that I've used to create the Eczema program. Now what I'm talking about there is that with the eczema, it's 2 parts, EX in front of eczema. In other words, I don't spend much time talking about eczema. It's a very complicated disease. I let other people do that. What I want people to do with their mind is to jump from eczema to the time after eczema, which is ex-eczema. A simple conceptual thing to do. When people follow the program, it is actually quite simple. But I don't want them to think it's without foundation. So what I'm going to do is very quickly just go through the 7 ologies that I've used, beginning quite obviously with dermatology. It is the skin, and therefore should be using dermatology, and there are a lot of dermatologists who do it, but they tend to find themselves on this side managing eczema. They do speak to immunologists who obviously study immunology. Now I speak to those people too, fascinating. The details they have are really, really great, but it's just part of a total path. The third one I used was pathology, the signs of things going wrong. Now people with eczema, especially severe eczema, they know what's going wrong, but what is going wrong? That's where the study of pathology becomes useful. Then let's consider pharmacology. That's the study of drugs and how they affect the body. When you look at something like steroid cream, the steroid is a drug. That's pharmacology. This is just a carrier. But in actual fact, the creams are also affecting the body. So in the managing of eczema, the cream, in actual fact, is becoming a drug. It is, in my view, maintaining the eczema. So pharmacology becomes a lot more important than just what we call the active drug. Physiology is important. Now that's the study of the body's functions. Now if you've got, let's say that's a patch of skin and that's broken, that's eczema, the body is going to say, right, this is very close to the surface, we'll just flush out the bad stuff. That's physiology. Now it's going on all the time. Most of it is without us actually knowing what's happening, which is good. But when you've got a disease, especially something that I consider to be an artificial, avoidable disease, that physiology is working overtime, but not getting there. So what we need to do is just think about how to give it a chance of winning. Bacteriology. Luckily, most children and people with eczema don't go as far as getting bacteria in the blood, which is septicemia, which can be lethal. Aren't we glad that doesn't happen that often? But when they do, then they're into a bit more of a vicious circle than they were before. Bacteriology is important in knowing the fact that all our skins carry bacteria. Now, if those bacteria get inside in eczema, which sometimes they do, what should we be more concerned about, the bacteria or the fact that they could get inside? I think the latter. Let's work out how they got inside, stop that happening. Now you have to know a lot about bacteria to get that to happen. Now the 7th, and I always leave this one to last deliberately, is psychology. What's going on up here? Now we know with eczema there's serious itch, we know there's a lot of scratching, we know there's a lot of things. Now when you're talking about the itch and the scratching, you can almost be seen as implying that that person with eczema is, there's a mind component. Now true enough there is. What I want to do is shift some of that concentration to the fact that all the people who are managing the eczema are working on the premise that eczema can't be cured. We've discussed it can be ended, but stay here for a while. It can't be cured. Can't is a magnificent word in the field of psychology. If you want to give them a choice, you might ask, why can't it be? Now, if you're causing it, then they're right, it can't be cured. So now we're into some interesting concept. Now, I break psychology down to the point of saying it's my job in psychology to give people a choice. Best to have only 2 choices. So for me, it's manage eczema or end eczema. So that ends that quite short video on the ologies that we've used. Luckily, all those 7 ologies mesh together. You don't need to know very much about either one of them, any of them, or all of them. The point is, the result of using all those 7 ologies was that we've got a choice: manage eczema or end eczema. Thank you. I'll present now for chapter 9.